Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dom Pod, where the machines, media, and the mind intersect to produce some very interesting conversations. Now, today, I'm joined by one of my favorite humans in the world. She is Jess Miller, known fondly as Jess to me. She's the City of Sydney councillor, and it's an absolute honour to have wrangled time with her today. Jess, thank you so much for joining me here in Melbourne. How are you?
I'm good. I'm cold. It's real cold here, but so it's such a joy to be here with you, Dom.
Thank you, Jess. You know, I've poached you down from Sydney, a city that I'm very fond of because I did live there in my early 20s. We had some fun there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a beautiful city, Sydney. Whatever you guys are doing up there, you're doing it bloody well because the contrast in the vibes, I'd say the contrast is high between Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah.
And in your mind, when you do come down to Melbourne, where you're from, born and bred, how do you feel coming down here?
It's a great question. There's always like a bit of nostalgia and this weird sort of, as you're kind of coming in over Tullamarine, it's sort of like, you're reminded that like I'm not coming home anymore. Like it's not home. And I think mentally that takes quite some time to go, oh, this isn't my city anymore. So it's very interesting. Like it's a little bit of reminder, but there's always a lot of fondness and nostalgia that creeps in every time I come to Melbourne. It's taken a long time to go, I'm not coming home to Melbourne.
Oh, so, Sydney's stolen you for good then, it feels like.
Yeah. I'm pretty, I feel like I'm deep in.
You are deep in. Well, talk to us about your 2025. How's the year been for you?
Yeah, it's been a good year. I mean, it goes so quickly. It's a bit of a blur, but it's a big year for the city. Some big sorts of announcements have happened with like major projects. A few like professional projects have kind of like come to a head and ended. And I think we forget there was like a major federal election earlier in the year. That. There was a bit of travel at the beginning of the year, which was fantastic to go and see family over in the States.
Oh, the States.
Yeah, and there's a bit of travel coming up at the end of the year for work. So it's kind of, I don't think I came into 2025 with big expectations. So we're just rolling with it. It's good.
I love that, Jess. It's my motto for 2025. I've got to lower my expectations and raise allowance. Just let it flow, you know?
Roll. Yeah, definitely.
There's so much to chat to you about today. All these things that are so important to me, machines, the media, and the mind, and how we feel about the intersect of all of these three things. And who else can speak to these things better than you, actually, as what you do?
Probably so many people.
Oh, look, I don't think so. You know, look, my audience knows that I'm a classic car nut, absolute freak, love burning fossil fuels for fun. Don't feel so bad about that because it's so minuscule, right? But you're a specialist in all things sustainability, transport, urban design. Your social media, for me, is like a masterclass on the daily. I'm learning so much about all the effort that you're going to in your role in Sydney to help better the city and to help progress all of these things. I mean, where to begin? Should we talk about first, well, what's Melbourne really like to you? Because I've got some bones to pick about it.
The beautiful thing about my role at the city is that you're at a really unique vantage point. So not many people really know what councillors do, and that's totally fine. But I think the beauty of the job and the privilege of the job is that there aren't many other positions where you have the opportunity to see how things relate to one another. And that's really interesting in the context of a city because you've got the relationship between, transport, planning, building, culture, art, energy, water, waste. It always it's a minor miracle that cities function at all, given how complex they are. And then you add people to that equation as well, which makes it even more complicated. So, I mean, like, I'm not going to like get drawn into the like what's better, what's not better,
Sure.
Sydney versus Melbourne. They're such different cities and they're so beautiful in their own ways. But there's definitely, I think there's definitely a heaviness here in Melbourne at the moment. I don't know what that's about. Like, I really don't. I don't know whether it's that kind of psychological hangover from COVID still. But, yeah, it's, you know, like there's always this sort of – when there's a heaviness and when there's sort of tension and friction, it generally means that something's about to move. So I hope that that's the case for Melbourne, that it's kind of just that sort of like darkness before the dawn and some cool things are happening. But, yeah, I think my brother came up from Melbourne to Sydney a few weeks ago for the Sydney to Surf, and he noted too that the atmosphere in Sydney is a bit different. And, I mean, I like to hope that that's reflective of how we care for the city. I think in the council meetings that we have and the decisions that we make, it's really about prioritising this sense of care for our community and demonstrating that by making things, you know, like simple acts of care. So making sure that the streets are clean and the garden beds are watered and you know, there are flowers and, you know, there's a lot that goes into that. And he kind of noted that, wow, it just feels cared for in Sydney and maybe that's not as apparent in Melbourne for whatever reason. I don't know.
Well, I think you've touched on some really key differences there very diplomatically between the two states. One thing that I really love about Melbourne is our major sporting events that we own. So Formula One, MotoGP, the Australian Open, the tennis. I mean, I'm missing out so many. So we really are a centre, a cultural hub for major sporting events. And also our live music scene is incredible. Our restaurant scene is incredible. We have beautiful national parks and the peninsula and the Great Ocean Road and da-da-da-da-da. But one word that you did touch on that I'm like, ooh, perfect word, move. We're not moving on the roads in a very nice or fast way. I'd say, at least for me, the traffic in Melbourne is just the bane of my existence. It's really impacting the way that I'm living my life here, unfortunately. And I do like to drive. I've done public transport for, since I was 13 through to, you know, my late 20s. And now it's like, you know, I like to drive. But driving around this city is just an absolute nightmare. I mean, I used to commute 11 kilometres from Bayside to Collingwood for 3 years, and on the drive home it would take me over an hour, 11 kilometres in a car. Ridiculous, because the public transport to try and get home would have involved a long walk, 2 trains and another long walk. Just ridiculous. Am I going to go an e-scooter? No, because all my audience knows I'd kill myself doing that. I could have walked, but it's cold. And I go, I've got some reasons from my point of view why I think the city's shot itself in the foot. Do you want to know those reasons?
Yeah.
the urban design reasons. You might be able to comment on it. Okay. So I was renting an apartment in a lovely, pretty sleepy-ish, but, you know, Bayside street. And when I was living in this apartment with a 30-car stacker and 30 other units, 2 other apartment blocks were going up beside me. Now, they became monster constructions, and what used to take their place were little homes. And all of a sudden on that street, I'm going to hazard a guess, suddenly you've got at least, let's round it up, 40, I'm thinking cars. Is that 120? 120 extra cars on a pretty little street. That really wasn't built for that. And this is just an example of one street in Melbourne. It's just happening everywhere across Melbourne, and it's absolute shit show. I'm saying it. I'm not in politics, so you can come after me. But Jess, I mean, I just don't think that that's happening in Sydney from what I can see when I do come up and visit.
Yeah, it's definitely happening. But I think, so there's a heap to unpack. Like the reason why things are the way they are is like layered. But there are a few kind of fundamental truths, which is that cars in cities are probably the least efficient form of transportation from getting point A to point B. And everybody complains about the traffic, but the other truth is like you are the traffic. It's you. It's you, Dom. You're the problem. It's you.
I love it. It's true.
You are the traffic.
Yes.
So that's always really interesting where it's like, oh, I'm stuck in traffic. It's like, no, you're the traffic. Which is not to say that cars are bad. There's no value call on what on your choice and what you need in your life, but there are some kind of efficiency rules. So within dense cities, like not everybody can have a car because just the spatial requirements for that mode of transport are really onerous. Like there is a number where the street is too full, the flow can't occur. So cities that function well have really good public transport because it's incredibly efficient. So I think what we're really benefiting from at the moment is the investment in the metro system that's been made over the last sort of 10 years in New South Wales. So it's been an absolute game changer. And the kind of like pure joy that people experience, I think the New South Wales government really played down how beautiful these metro stations would be. It has a real cathedral effect.
Ooh.
And so you go into these like very deep tunnels and the height of the roofs and the public art that's been put into these stations makes it feel really special.
Wow.
And you can just get around a lot quicker. So I think that's really significant. I mean, the team that I'm a part of at the city, like we're an independent team, which is really fantastic. And Clover, over 20 years of her being the Lord Mayor, has fought hammer and tong against some pretty full-on adversaries for cycle lanes, which if you ask people, like, you know, there are two things that people get really passionate about in local government, parks and parking. And, you know, I think both are public spaces. So there's a real sense of connection to your local park. It's where you go to walk your dog. It's where you run into people. So that's really important. And also people have a very strong sense of ownership over the car park near their house. That is their park and they will not be told otherwise, despite the fact that it's actually not as public space. And there's a dollar value on that. So, and it's an equity issue. So I think one of the things that's been really challenging, that remains a challenge when you're building cycling infrastructure, is that if you want people to move more efficiently, like if you want them to like use e-bikes or scooters or walk, you have to invest in that kind of infrastructure. So it's got to be a good experience, a safe experience, a navigable experience. And I think after sort of 20 years of investment in Sydney and going through the pain, you know, like I remember maybe 10, 15 years ago launching one of the first cycleways in Sydney, and there was a guy in a ute that literally mounted the curb in an effort to try and intimidate us because they were just so, you know, there's this deficit narrative that's like you're taking something away from us. So, you know, fast forward 15 years later, people start to feel and notice the difference. And COVID in Sydney had a pretty positive impact on that because for the first time, a lot of people who hadn't cycled, and they were like, oh, wow, actually this is okay. Like it's actually really easy to get around on a bicycle in Sydney now. which makes, like your example of like trying to travel 11K, it shouldn't take you more than 20 minutes, like 30 minutes, and you can do that on a bike. And so we're starting to see now that the uptake is really significant, and we know for a fact that the difference between traffic movements between school holidays and non-school holidays is about 3%. So not a huge amount of cars that are taken off the road, but if you ask anyone in Sydney how much easier it is to get around in a car during the school holidays, like they will absolutely say, oh yeah, it's a dream. And it is a dream. Like they're not imagining that difference. It's 3%. And our hypothesis is that 3% is actually parents not driving their kids to school. And so our sort of target is if we can switch that up and if we can make it easier for parents and kids to ride their bikes to school, or mum to, tow the kids on the back of an e-bike and then trottle off to work, that's a really significant change in how the city feels, and it makes it easier for people who have to drive for work. It makes it, just puts less pressure on the public infrastructure.
It's really interesting, and I think that all that work, that amazing work that you've done with the bike lanes in Sydney, and there is really good driver awareness too, I've noticed in Sydney. It's almost kind of like, well, that works really well in Sydney because the weather, right? So it is conducive to the climate, that you're going to have more weeks and months where it is friendlier for mum to take Barb on the bike to primary school. Whereas in Melbourne, it kind of gets a bit Arctic, and the wind and the weather and all of that, where, for me, the commute that I used to have to do, there wasn't the facilities at the place where I was for me to shower and change. And also it wouldn't have been safe really. I would have been in the dark there and back. There's a lot of drivers on the road under the influence that just no matter what I did, light myself up like a fucking Christmas tree. They're still going to take me out. And that road where, Long Punt Road from Bayside, there was nowhere safe for me to ride. So there's all these things to take into consideration. But like my hat's off to you in Sydney for all the efforts that you guys are still doing to make Sydney so much greener and cleaner. And it's just a breath of fresh air. When you land there, you've got Bondi Beach and you've got these epic landscapes and you've got the harbour, and it's so pretty. And I walk around and there is a feeling of space in the city. I don't get this feeling that there's this angry gridlock of traffic everywhere. It seems to just flow. The Uber drivers and taxi drivers are a little loose around the whole Potts Point area, but they just work it. There's no horns going, that just flows, and there's less aggression. There's less aggression in Sydney. Victorians are just tough and hardcore, and we're all waiting for this big tunnel to launch. I mean, jeepers, when's the tunnel going to launch? And now I read in the news the residents around the area where the tunnel's kind of situated are now concerned about all the trucks that are going to try and escape toll fees and use other roads. And surely I understand completely you can't comment on this. You're not deep into understanding how Melbourne's working. But, man, I want to move out to the countryside. I want to get away from it, because even wanting to live in Bayside, to be close to the beach, I don't have kids, don't have a partner, so I can have a little sleep in and go get a coffee and go for a nice walk along the bay. It's just the traffic and just the cars everywhere. And I just noticed that in Sydney, you don't seem to have that problem with high rises and cars in the city. I mean, has that been a purposeful design thing, that if you live in the city, you're not guaranteed a car spot, or is there something
that was
there?
I can't remember exactly when it was, but that was a pretty conscientious planning change. And what it acknowledged was that you don't default it's not one spot per apartment. Like that's not part of the planning provisions, because there isn't the capacity for the network to manage that. So, and also the way that we deal with parking as well. Like people in if you live in an apartment, it's really incentivizing people to go without a car. So, controversial at times, but it's working. When there's good access to transport, it works. So places like Green Square, that's been a huge 20-year project to accommodate 60,000 residents. So that was an area that was largely industrial. So there was a huge $60 million investment to sort out the drainage, which enabled development uplift, attracted a lot of investment, and it was so beautifully coordinated in the planning so that it wasn't just like, okay, bang, here's a shit ton of density. Like it's very dense. Instead, the process was to go, okay, the first thing we're going to do is build the library. And it's a beautiful, beautiful library. It's the most gorgeous thing you've ever seen. It's pops up. It's this little tower that sort of pops up, but most of it's under the ground.
Ooh.
But it doesn't even feel dark. So you've got this beautiful little subterranean library, and then you've got a tower where there's rehearsal rooms, meeting rooms. There's like a baby grand piano up the top. It's a beautiful library. And that sort of began, and sort of having that as the heart of the place from the get-go set the tone. So you have a library, then you have a tower. Then you have another tower, and they also made sure that, you know, the street, the first thing actually even before the library were the trees. So you had wide streets and you were planting trees like at the very beginning. So that was really well planned. There's a train station nearby. There's really good connections into the city. But an example of how you can have very dense areas, but you have to be really thoughtful about the sequencing of it. So after the first couple of big towers were built, concurrent with that was the aquatic centre. So there's a pool and a rec centre and playing fields, and then there's more towers, and then, you know, we're opening the primary school in the end of September. So yeah, there's like little interventions that you're able to do through careful planning and using developer contributions in a way that fosters that sense of community from the get-go. And sometimes they're just really small interventions, and sometimes they're big. So you can't sort of underestimate the power of, like, we have a thing called, like, there's a men's shed, like a banger shed there, a cultural centre there.
Beautiful.
So yeah, it's super dense. Like, you can have it, but it just needs to be thoughtfully done.
Can we borrow you for like 3 years? Can you come down
I don't like
and
the
help?
weather. I can't, like, I'm sorry, but every time I come back, I'm like, God, it's cold.
Yeah.
And we had like 4 weeks of rain in Sydney. I was just like, oh God, this is like, and now the sun shines out. It's like everybody just like had everyone had like a collective upper. Like
I love it. Yeah.
It's like on the street, everyone's like, oh my God, the rain, like the sun's out, the rain stopped. Like the mood just went through the roof. So yeah, I think in Sydney we're definitely everybody relies on a pretty regular dose of vitamin D, and it is outdoorsy. And I think you're right when it comes to the ability to be able to walk, cycle, mix mode it. Like, yeah, it sucks when it's raining. But then again, like I look at other cities, particularly like the Danes and stuff, and, you know, you look at these particularly women, these Danish women who just like get it done. In the middle of winter. It's snowing, they're on their bicycle, there's 4 kids in tow, and you're just like, oh my God, they're just getting it done.
I got Danish in me, so maybe I should tap into my Dane side. Jess, actually, this perfectly dovetails into one of the questions that I prepared for you. And then I want to get into more of who Jess is and your incredible career, how I met you many years ago. But before we go there, she pulls out her notes. You know, I'm a classic car nut. I touched on it. Everyone knows her. Dama, she's the classic car girl. But, you know, like living in the city, and I'm still in the city, but, you know, I'm driving around in a 2010 Defender. It's like a fucking tractor. And then all of a sudden I got an EV up my bum that has no concept of the fact that I'm shifting gears in a mechanical car. So there's this real, like, I see like these EVs on the road and I'm like, oh no, they're going to monster me. And they're getting impatient. I'm throwing my hands up like, yeah, have you forgotten I'm driving a car? Not so long ago, you were probably driving one of these. So, there's this, and being in Victoria where it's, rah. So my question, do you think it's possible to design a transport ecosystem that embraces both the fast, like the EVs, micromobility, automation, and the nostalgic heritage-like classic cars and motorbikes and cultural forms of mobility without one erasing and monstering the other? How do we educate everyone? How do we make it happen where we can live with our preferences and our interests on 4 wheels, 2 wheels, maybe 1? Saw a guy on this weird disc thing with a remote control. Yeah. How do we all live in harmony? Where does it begin? Everyone's turning to the government to help make this work. I mean, how do you see it, Jess? Utopia.
I don't know. If there was a simple solution, somebody already would have done it. But I think, it's an evolving thing. But I think from a sort of decision-making design point of view, like the first order of business is always to make a decision that is in the interest of the most people, like the greatest good. So that's easy to say. It's pretty difficult to prosecute at times because there'll always be people with very loud voices. You've got your frequent flyers who will be angry no matter what. There was one instance where a group of it's ongoing, but a group of very well-heeled people from the eastern suburbs decided that the construction of a cycleway along Oxford Street warranted a High Court challenge because it was an abuse of their human rights. Now,
what?
It doesn't get—
Are you serious?
Yeah. I wish I was making it up.
Oh,
but
man.
It's not. I'm not making it up. No. So there are always going to be, there's always going to be tension. I think with transport, it's just about understanding, firstly, what's the point? Because there's a critical use. So, if you need to get to work, if you're a nurse, you work night shift, that's not negotiable. If there's no public transport when your shift finishes at 2 a.m., it's a high order priority. You need to be able to get there safely and get home. Then, the classics and stuff too, I'd argue that's now it's evolved, whereas
it's also a critical necessity. We need it to live.
Absolutely. Yes.
No.
Debatably. Yeah.
Debatably.
Yeah. Well, but that is people, if it sparks joy, then it is a necessity. And it's something that you can't argue with. So it's sort of about accommodating the range of needs in a way, but it kind of starts from being able to have a respectful conversation. So it's difficult when the starting point is just adversarial and you can't even begin to discuss the way through. Tension is great. Tension is how you tension in cities is amazing. It's what you require for growth. But if there's no way to be able to resolve it, then that's when it becomes polarizing and you have people that are just at war. So good tension is good. I think it's what gives cities energy.
Ooh.
Because you're changing. It's a changing and evolving. But if you're unable to resolve it in a way that's constructive, then
so my finger, I'll lower it. You've given me an idea. You know those baby on board stickers?
Yeah.
I should just put Luddite on board with slow moving vehicle written all over the back of my Defender.
Yep.
Driver is human, busy shifting gears.
But I don't know,
I'm sick of getting monstered.
I just think being a dickhead is across all modes.
Yeah.
It's just a commonality. There are people on the street that walk, like if you're a dickhead, you're going to be a dickhead pedestrian. You're going to be a dickhead on an e-bike. You're going to be a dickhead in a car. You're going to be a dickhead in a you're just going to be a dickhead. Like it's non-denominational, like it's multimodal. But if you're you know, if you're polite and aware, walking, you'll move to the side. And that translates across all modes. So I think it's less about blaming a particular mode or vehicle and more about blaming the person.
True. I love that. Very well said, Jess. I mean, you brought up this word tension, right? And what people might not know about you is that you thrive in martial arts, right? So I've used this word tension, and I've planted it into something that I know that you're exceptionally good at behind the scenes. Might not be so much on your social media these days, but you're a black belt in the discipline
Yukita-kan,
which is a kickboxing.
Yeah, in that style, yeah.
And Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you're a
blue belt.
Yeah. So tension is something Jess Miller's very comfortable with, I would say. And so
but that's what I've learned to be comfortable with it. Yeah. It's not a natural state for me.
Can you please talk to us about these incredible things you do behind the scenes and how it impacts you in your work and how it helps shape your character and keep you fit and all these things?
Yeah, well, I mean, as a kid, I didn't do any kind of martial arts or anything like that. It just wasn't on my radar until would have been probably like in my mid-20s, like maybe 24 or something, living in Sydney. And I'd won a membership to Fernwood Broadway in a raffle or an auction, which was like a huge big deal. And there was a woman there called Jess Miller, who I still remember very fondly, and she was doing a boxercise class, and I fucking loved it. There was something about, I don't know, like it was because like, you know, I liked doing sport and exercise. I'd always had done it, but then boredom creeps in. Like there's only so many times you can do a treadmill workout or a bloody, you know, pump workout or whatever before you're like, okay, fucking kill me. And Jiao was, and she could tell I really liked it. And then one day she was like, oh, maybe you should do you want to come to my boxing gym and check it out? And I was like, yeah. And so she took me to Boxing Works, which was then in Castlereagh Street, and that was it. Like the Fernwood membership was coming to an end, and I'm just like, thanks, Jiao. I've found my new home. And I got into the boxing, and it was there that I met Nadine Champion, who I've now been training with for more than 15 years. And I think I kind of came into it just through the sport of it, really. Like I liked the people, I liked the blood stains on the mat, I liked the filth of the gym, I liked the it was a fight gym, so I liked that fighter's energy, and there were some amazing athletes training out of there at the time. So, there was Steve Moxon was there at the time. There were some pretty formidable people. And at the time too, Nadine was kind of at the height of her fighting career. And it probably took at least a year or so to actually kind of get the courage to say to her, hey, I've noticed that you do these other groups training, can I come? And she was like, yeah, cool. And so I sort of paired up with another couple of girls and did privates with her and just kind of really got into it. And during that period, Sensei Benny, so Benny Ukitas is an incredibly formidable heavyweight of martial arts based out of Los Angeles. He's if anyone knows Wheels of Steel, he's the baddie in that incredible fight scene with Jackie Chan. He's just one of those, everybody should know his name, but you probably know his face potentially. But he's sort of one of his peers are Chuck Norris, and he's just one of the real pioneers of martial arts in America and in the world. So he came out, it must have been probably, 2010, 2011, and, did a seminar. He was here with his family. It was the first time I'd ever done any kind of contact, sparring, anything like that. Loved it. And I just haven't stopped. I mean, I never really, it was never like I had a conscious thought to say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do fighting, I'm going to do competing, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It never occurred to me to stop.
Wow.
And, even to the point where when I was pregnant with Jemima in 2011.
Shout out, Mimes.
Or 2012. I should know when she was born. Yeah, it was 2012. But the lead up into that, it took me by surprise being pregnant. And none of my friends at the time were there yet. So I was kind of like
you were the first
cabs.
You were. I was like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I was like,
she's doing it.
I'm doing it. Yeah.
Wow. You were the pioneer in baby making in the group.
Oh, yeah. But in that cohort. And I think a lot of that conversation at the time, people seem to be pretty obsessed with what you can't do. So you can't do that. You can't eat cheese. You can't eat sushi. You can't get your heart rate over blah, blah, blah. And I found it quite disempowering. And so I had the conversation with Nadine and I was just like, can you just remind me what I can do? What do I want from my training? And I was like, I just need to feel that I'm still myself and remind me of everything that I can do, which was awesome because basically it meant that we were sparring together, obviously no body shots.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't trust just anyone. Actually, the only person in the world I would trust with that is her.
Yeah.
Which meant that up until the Friday before, I gave birth on a Monday, but the Friday before, she was kicking my legs. I got very good at checking leg kicks because she just we just did, and it was just movement and didn't treat me with like I was an invalid. It was really cool. It was actually really cool. So I've just continued to train with her for a very long time. And the unique thing about her and the style is that it is just as much about internal training as it is about the external stuff. So there's a lot of technical detail that you have to get across. Of course, you need to be able to hit and not get hit. But I think the thing that I've really learned and applied to life from training is how to manage my emotions and also how do you respond to pressure, because there is nothing more emotional than being hit in the face. And there is no greater way of confronting yourself than in the ring. If you want to know where your shit is, get in the ring. If you want to know why you're getting sad, angry, upset, frustrated, go and fight someone. It's pretty.
Love this so much.
Just, there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know who I would be without it.
Wow.
It's such a huge thing. Yeah. And I love it. I just absolutely love it. And there's something that Sensei Benny says frequently is love doesn't come for free. And you kind of go, what does that mean? And I think what it means over time is if you really love something, it hurts. You've got to bleed and sweat, and sometimes it sucks. The grading, there are only maybe 30, 40 black belts in this style.
Wow, Jess, is that all there is?
Yeah, and he's 70.
You're one of them.
He's 75, yeah. So they're not things that you, they're not handed out willy-nilly.
What was it like when you were given your black belt? Can you walk us through that moment?
It was a relief. Because the grading, it was a question of kind of when. So I think it's something that you don't, you don't see very often anymore. Like it's a pretty significant rite of passage. And so like if you go to sort of the older stories of like Bushido and, you know, the kind of tradition of the martial arts and things like that, you know, grading is meant to be difficult. It's meant to almost break you. And the breaking point for me was actually 2 years before it happened, where I'd set my mind to it. And I'd literally cleared my decks for, you know, I'd committed myself fully to doing the grading, doing the training. And that meant foregoing income. Like I basically quit my job and was like, this is what I'm doing.
Wow.
And so I was all in, and it was getting to, so he sort of usually comes over September, October each year. And I think it got to maybe August of that, the August before he was coming, and I had this heartbreaking conversation with Nadine, in which she said, "You're not ready." And my little heart just broke in two. And that was the kind of, that's part of it. And I knew it was true. I didn't want it to be true. And I think the test of that, it's not about what you know, but it's like in order to do it, you have to be broken in a way and put yourself back together as something new and better. So, yeah, I think it's a hard thing to wrap your head around, but that's life. Like it's not about how good you think you are. It's about how you respond when things are really shit.
Wow.
So
Jess.
that was so a year later.
Another year.
Yeah, another year. Yeah. So like a lot of black people in different martial arts, getting a black belt means different things. For us, it's like a shodan. It's a move through. It's a recognition that you know enough to be able to teach it in a way that's and that's also the obligation and the kind of responsibility that you do. You share what you've learnt. But yeah, so after that, the grading really went for a year in the lead up to him coming, and I was paired with Andy, who is probably, you know, like you couldn't choose two more different people. Like, so I'm very short. Andy is very tall. He has like legs like a freaking, you know, yeah, he's a big guy. You know, he's a painter, like a house painter.
Wow.
We have such different backgrounds. And I think initially the genius of Nadine was that she decided to pair us together as these two very different
yin
people.
and yang.
Yin and yang completely. And doing it together was so good because at various points we drag each other through it. And then when Sensei Benny finally came, you know, what he's interested in is like he wants to know what is your character? Are you a person that he can trust to represent? This is his family system and his life's work and his legacy. It's a big deal for him, and he's trying to understand, like, you know, are you with us, or if you're not, or are you not? Like, do you? Yeah. So we went on this like.
Wow.
So I think one part of the grading was like walking around Sydney with him. It was like a 3-hour walk, and it's really intense because he doesn't do small talk. And he's really he's really interesting. I encourage anyone to look him up. He's quite an interesting character. But then also you have that part, and then the grading, there's a series of things that happen as part of the grading, and it kind of culminates in like super hard sparring. But also like there's an element of mind fuck with it. So Andy went first in the ring.
Go, Andy. Good on you, mate.
But then I was told to face away. So I wasn't watching what was happening in the ring. I was staring at a clock, listening.
Oh, my God.
And so all I hear was this like, like it was, and so you got to keep it. Yeah. And so, yeah. And that was, there's sort of some of the, it's like, yeah. And then, yeah, it was, so that was it. So it was a big relief. It was pretty emotional.
Yeah. Jess, what year was that again? I remember.
2023.
I remember that happening. You went through that. I didn't know all these little details because I flew up in December 2023 for Angie's special birthday, and then we spent beautiful quality time together.
Yeah, at the beach. Yeah.
At the beach. It was just the best. Again, I was like, I really want to move to Sydney, but I can't afford it. But that story's incredible. And
so that would have been on the other side of that. So it would have all been a bit new.
Okay.
But yeah, you would.
So then what happened?
You met the crew.
You're looking at the clock. You're hearing all this sound.
And then you get in the ring. Yeah, you're in the ring.
With who?
There was a range of people. So big people, little people. Yeah, it was, it's switch on. Like, can you hang? You don't have to win. It's not like a fight to the death or anything like that. But it's like, can you conduct yourself in a way? Like, are you technically good enough to deal with a big person, a small person? I think, it was, and pressure. Like, he wants to see, he doesn't want to, he's the expectation is that technically you know it all. Sensei Nadine wouldn't put you forward to be graded if you didn't have the technique sorted. The grading, then the test is like, can you keep your shit together under enormous pressure? And the day, like, it was just the yanking of the chain. It's like, it's 10 o'clock. No, actually, it's 12 o'clock. Actually, no, it's just, you just have to go with it. And so part of it is also, and, in competition, you would know from driving, a lot of it is just like, can you keep your physiology under control by keeping your mind under control? And what are the tools, what tools do you reach for to do that? Is it breathing? Is it visualization? Is it meditation? Can you ride the adrenaline? And it's such, learning how to do that is such a powerful thing, because like in competition or in driving or in, high pressure situations, adrenaline can be your best friend, but you need to know when to let it go at the right time. So it's sort of like, call it like rubber banding.
Yep.
So by the time you're ready to fight or compete or whatever, you are ready. Like, it's holding you back, and then exploding.
You made me think of something in that incredible story, and thank you for sharing that story with me. I'm always learning new things about you. I'm about to sit my observed license test again to gain my national circuit license again, which is an FIA thing. So I've gone through my medical again. I first did it in 2012. I let it lapse during the pandemic and just got dropped down to a level 2 speed. But I'm going through the stages again. And one thing I'm just at the moment trying to select who I want to sit my OLT with, because it's changed. Motorsport Australia has changed it all. And one of the things I was just chatting to one of the instructors was, and he saw my list of achievements, accomplishments and whatnot. And he goes, that's all good. And we were just having a chat about it. And he said, Dom, the main thing that I'm looking at is, I know you're competent. Yeah. I know you know how to race. You're going to hit your apexes, braking, da-da-da-da. My main thing is, I go through the checklist, but the thing I'm looking for, because everything can be improved, is this person someone who I want to share the racetrack with?
Yep.
That's the key thing.
Exactly.
They send people home all the time.
Yep.
If you use the word dickhead, right? Yep. And gee whiz, when you're going 200 plus kilometers an hour in a classic car, you're not allowed to be a dickhead.
No, you can't.
You're running the risk of your own life and other people's lives, and it's not just the competitors who you can take out. You can take out spectators.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the reality. So you got to have a strong, cool, calm head on you. People let it all rip out in the pits. I've seen fist fights. I've seen some really gnarly stuff unfold because it's adrenaline.
Yeah.
And you touched on that. One thing I'd love to talk about with you is, and also to thank you, because what am I? I'm 40 now. I think it was around, was it three years ago? I was feeling a little lost in my life. Some things hadn't worked out for me, and I hit a bit of a low, and I wasn't racing, and I felt really disconnected from community and disconnected from myself, and I really needed to do something to get myself out of my head. And you said to me, you should try jiu-jitsu. And I went, no, God, dude, I don't know. I've never been one for martial arts. I have an inner rage bunny that could be diagnosed as homicidal rage. Like, seriously, I have it, man. And I've learned to channel it. I was always very shy of doing things like boxing or martial arts whilst I was racing because wrists and hands and everything. If I get injured or something, then that's, $5,000 down the drain for that race meet I was booked into. And you just can't, even though once you are foot on the throttle and drop the clutch and you're out, you don't feel shit, man, because you are going. Yeah. So, you could have the worst back pain, period pain, shit in your head, noise in your head, and it goes, poof, gone. The brain's like survival mode. So anyway, I selected Dominance to try down in Melbourne. Shout out to Dominance. Shout out to Ellen. Ellen was one of the most loveliest female jiu-jitsuers to welcome me onto the mats. And honestly, I was hooked from day one. And I'm still a white belt because I took a big break. I got injured, white belt. They say it happens. And then work got too busy and life got too busy. But I did manage to get graded once. I shed a little tear because it was so much shrimping, rolling, bruises, tears, stinky drive homes going, what am I doing? Like listening to Rage Against the Machine going, I'm not a 17-year-old boy. What am I doing this for? But also I got to get back on the pit. So on the mat, So cover myself in all, the ice and the heat, and I just reeked of Denka rub for like a year and a half. But Jess, thank you so much as a friend that encouraged me and pushed me to push my own limits and get out of self. And for someone who is really only comfortable in a race suit with a helmet on, in a car, away from people, I don't label myself. I've received so many diagnoses in my life. It's like a fucking alphabet soup in there. So I just don't bother. But people, smart people out there will be like, oh, I reckon she's this. Yeah, probably. So point being, I really needed to connect with people. I need to learn how to look people in the eye. I needed to not be so scared. I needed to be okay to touch people, have people touch me. I was not okay with anyone touching me. And all of a sudden you're in an environment where you're like bear hugging people and all of that. And so I'm getting back into it again slowly. And shout out to Ellen, who's been magical. I know you guys are fans of each other. She's just come home from USA with some more metal. She's so good. So good. Less me, more you. What has jiu-jitsu, the discipline of jiu-jitsu, taught you? Tell us about your journey in jiu-jitsu and what keeps you going back to the mats, and when your work needs so much of you, but you make time to carve out a dedicated focus area to continue your martial arts journey. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's jiu-jitsu will always be the second love. Like the first love is stand up.
Okay.
I love, kicking it, the rhythm of kicking and punching and I'll but I mean, it's just adding things. But I'd always watched people at the gym doing jiu-jitsu, and I'd sort of looked at it and gone, it looks like quite close. Like same with you, like it's real close.
In the gi, I like gi training.
Yeah, like it's but what I really wanted was for my daughter to do it. And so part of it was that like our whole family signed up. So Nick, me, Jemima. And I think Nick, it just wasn't for him. He's a ball man. He loves the footy. So
shout out,
he
Nick.
lasted a little while, but he was just like, nah, stuff this. I didn't really give Jemima a choice because she was at the time, she's still doing it. I still don't really give her a choice, which I guess is my prerogative. But part of it is that and the reason why I still go is because I find it really hard. Like I've been doing it now for 3 or 4 years, and
longer, Jess.
I still have those things where I'm just like, I don't want to go, and I'll be like, I don't, and Sensei Benny calls them like the saving angels, where you're like, you're like that person that you're like, I just don't want to roll with them, and I hate that guy, But they're ultimately the people that you just have to, like, that uncomfortability and dread, you've got to work through it.
Oh,
and you've just got to get good and surrender to being really uncomfortable and not knowing and stuffing it up and getting squashed. But also then at the same time having the humility to go, you know what, that's enough for me. And I think for women in particular, and what I've noticed with Jemima as well, like there's all the conversation around consent and whatever, and that's a really good conversation to have. But a lot of the time it feels very theoretical. Like we know that consent is good and we should be having conversations about boundaries and blah, blah, blah. But actually practicing that in a real way is difficult. Like, I mean, with sexual relationships and stuff, like it was not in our repertoire or verbal, like, and it was just like, it was a whole other thing. But I remember Jemima, you know, she was, you know, coming in, she would have maybe been 9 or something. And she was just like, she was able to firstly recognize a feeling in her body that wasn't comfortable and then also be able to articulate it and then have a grown-up act on it. So she was like, I just don't like the way this feels. And I'm like, fair, that's okay, all right. Well, let's find you another club where there are more girls and they're a bit smaller or something like that. So
interesting. So rolling with the boys, all of that.
Yeah, I think it's just also deciding like for yourself that you don't just have to, you know, like what is your tolerance threshold? And on different days it can be different. Like you can go to, you know, some days you might want to roll hard. And you might want to put yourself in difficult situations or practice a certain thing, and you might be able to have that energy. But it's also being able to go on other days, you know what, not today. Sorry, but I don't want to roll with you. It's not personal. It's not personal. I just don't want to.
Or, you know, actually last night your sweat was dripping into my mouth and I'm still recovering from the taste of that. Like they're the things that I've had to come used to, like
you come
having
to grips
a smushed face.
Yeah,
or,
and sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't.
In your face and it's just like, wow. Talk about humility.
Like, it's weird though because you kind of disconnect. Like you just, I think, I don't know what it is because you don't think about it. Like you just go, I think, you sort of forget the situational stuff of it. It's sort of as if you go, okay, cool, park that. We're doing jiu-jitsu. Like the rules don't apply. Yeah. The regular rules don't apply. And it's not normal, but it's normal.
It's been very freeing for me because I have OCD, which serves me extremely well in car racing because I like checklists, safety, like and then I've gotten over doing all my little ticks before racing, like all my suspicious wearing things, and I used to have to count things. Like I've worked through that, guys. Everyone knows I'm in recovery and I'm doing the work, so that's cool. Releasing that obsession. But when jiu-jitsu was really freeing for me because it's like I'm getting smushed by someone very sweaty. I've got no control over what's going to happen to me in this moment. I got to let it go. I never used to be able to walk barefoot around my apartment or my space or wherever I was renting.
Yeah, wow.
I was so upset and freaked out about having dirt on the bottom of my – it's a real thing, like guys, like washing hands. And unfortunately I really battled that, and my parents can attest to the fact that when I was a child I used to match the colour of my underwear to my socks, to my headband, to my scrunchie, to my clothes. Otherwise, there was a massive meltdown. So, but jiu-jitsu's really helped me let go and just be okay with the grime and the filth and the dirt and the suffering, and then you laugh and you connect, and there's so many hugs. And someone like me who's such a professional at isolating myself, that connection with humans and just, you know, having a laughing face, and I'm like, wow, how was your spaghetti last night? Because I can still smell it. All these things that normally I'd be like, ew, like get away. Like I can't handle that. I'm just like, bring it on. Like
it's part of it, very
human and raw and real.
Yeah, I think it's also just like for people, probably like both of us that spend so much time in our heads, the reprieve and the relief from just being in your body is really important. That's why I particularly like going to jiu-jitsu at lunchtime, because it forces me to pull myself out of or recalibrate the day. And I just also like the people. Like I like that.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like we kind of know some things about each other, but it doesn't matter. Like they're your mat friends, and I probably see a lot of those people on the mats more than I do. Some weeks my own family. Or, and I think it's just a nice community, and I like that it's hard, and I like that, it puts the rest of the day into context and definitely helps me cope with whatever's happening. It just puts everything into perspective. And again, I think it's given me an ability to regulate emotion and responses and not get so caught up in drama or whatever's going on. So, yeah, definitely, I think it definitely benefits people.
Totally. I still giggle and laugh when I go to put on a sub. I'm like, I'm sorry. So coward me, I like to take the back because I don't have to look at the person.
I'm the opposite. I'm like side control. Like,
I can't.
That is my happy place.
No.
I mean, especially there's nothing better than especially if they're big. It's like I'm going to use all of my 58 kilos to like lock you down.
You're little and compact. I'm 70 kilos. That's a healthy weight for me. But I have these long arms, so I can take the back, right? And I don't have to look someone in the eye.
Oh, my God, arms
and also
are great.
spider guard is something I should work on.
Oh, yeah, you're my worst nightmare.
Well, I've got good grips from racing.
Yeah, of course you would, yeah.
That's all I've got. I've got good grips, big hands.
Get your lapel game going, Dom. Ask Ellen about lapels.
Yes, we're working
lapels
on those.
But sick.
It's all so –
there's so much. It's like, where do you start? There's so much.
Sometimes I like to just lie there on the mat just like a baby rolling around, and Ellen's like, all right, this is what we're doing today. And I'm just like, Ellen, this is fun, And then she's like, cool, okay, so let's let's put on the grip, I'm like, yeah, okay. Oh. So it's so good for me.
But it's also play. Like it's also a way to kind of – it's a game. Like, I mean, yeah, there's some pretty – like any kind of martial art, as in racing, part of I think the attraction is that, it's like high level physical chess with dire consequences if you fuck it up. So you never far you can't forget the fact that, if in any of these undertakings, like that's where the responsibility comes in. Like, if you know how to choke somebody out, you're a dangerous person. So head kicks,
keep punching,
all that
Jess.
sort of stuff. But that's why, when I was in LA earlier in the year, like Sensei Majid, we were having sort of like, family dinner, and Sensei Majid said something which was really important, which is, the most dangerous person in around the table is Sensei Benny. He's the one who is the most in control of his emotions.
Ooh.
That makes you a dangerous person because you're in control. If you're in control of yourself, you're in control of other people. And that makes you really, it's quite it's something to like, it's definitely something to aspire to, like, geez. But yeah, it's that kind of, you watch really good fighters and really good, people who are really good at jiu-jitsu, like there's like a real calmness to them that makes them formidable.
That's you.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. I lose my shit. I never
see it. And I should say it for the audience.
You should see me in a cleaning rack.
I've never seen this woman lose her shit, and actually this is the perfect time. We've got 25 minutes. Oh, I'm sad. I've only got 25 minutes left with you, but can I wind back the clock? Because I'm sure there are some people that are interested in knowing how we crossed paths in life.
Oh, my God, yeah.
So I'm going to take everyone back to 2003. and I was enrolled at RMIT at Media Studies to major in film and TV production, which I was really passionate about. I don't know what my hairstyle was back then.
It was so good, Dom.
Was it bright red with the fringe, or was it shaved bob,
it was
undercut?
black. It was, hard fringe, black bob.
Shaved underneath.
Yeah.
It was in my punk rock era, right?
It was so good.
So there I am, probably just looking like I've just been peeled off Cherry Bar or something because I was going pretty hard in the rock clubs.
So cool.
But I was like determined to do uni, right?
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And there I see, just sitting cool in this colourful outfit, just relaxed, enjoying the sunshine, this incredible hair. I'm like, shit, she looks cool. I really want to be her friend. And me being awkward, but also like an enthusiastic puppy, we struck up a conversation, and this is when I met Jess. And quickly I learnt that Jess had just come back from this incredible overseas adventure. And can you share with us how you came to be at RMIT studying media studies and where you'd been for a year before?
Brazil, yeah. So I'd been in I decided that by the end of year, because I was a bit younger than everybody in year 12, so it meant that I somehow scammed a Rotary exchange at 17 once I'd finished school. So I'd finished high school, and then I think it was like a few days before my 18th birthday. I got on the plane and went. I think it was the first time I'd ever been overseas.
That's brave, anyway. 17.
Yeah. Well, I just don't think. I mean, you just don't know what you don't know, right? So
girl from Peninsula, little sleepy
I was
beach
like,
town.
get me the fuck out of there as far away as I can go. I think my first choice was like Mozambique, but there was a war there. My second choice was Buenos Aires, but then that went crazy. And then the third, I was like, I want to be far away. I want to learn another language. And so I ended up in Sao Paulo, which was just probably one of the most significant like influences on my whole life, because it's just this heaving, filthy, amazing city. And yeah, it was a pretty wild 12 months. So I kind of had come back. It was a bit of like coming from there back to Melbourne, because I was still living in the Peninsula at the time too. It was a bit of a come down, and I didn't really, and I'd kind of been very, because like the phones and stuff wasn't such a thing back then. Like I was very disconnected to like my friends from school. And so, yeah, it was pretty amazing, because I remember seeing you too, Dom, and being like, that one. Yeah,
that freak over there.
Yeah, she looks like fun.
Yeah, we can go party together. I reckon she's up for a party. Yeah, that's what maybe the vibe was.
No, I think it was that too, but you were also like so friendly, and I always remember you that amazing. You guys made a really great ad for the dishwashing. Like it was so cute. There was an ad you made that you presented. It was so great. Anyway,
I was in it, wasn't I?
You were in it. It was so
I ended up always being in the shit.
Yeah,
like
because you just had that big kind of
but me knowing
energy,
me, I think I wrote it and I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll just act in it, because I know we got to deliver it control freak. But I loved it.
Great little crew.
We
like
did.
there was Mick and Mira and
Michaela and Mira.
I know, the Flans. That was it, the Flans.
And we used to go to big day out.
It was really good.
In Sydney, we went to
was it Sydney Big Day Out or V Festival?
Anyway, it was something sick, but we were always out and about partying.
It was good shit. Yeah, so that was Brazil. That was like, but yeah, I think I just sort of came back to Melbourne just being like, whoa, what am I doing with my life? What is this? You know, and I think like in a city so colourful and big and gnarly as Sao Paulo, Melbourne just felt really pale. So I don't know, it was a weird time.
High contrast.
Very high contrast. But then I went to Canberra.
Okay,
remember?
So you did a year with us, right?
Yeah.
And then you left. I was devastated.
Well, I think I'd always, in my mind, I was so geared toward art. Like it was all about, because I went I did film and TV to get into media arts. And that was what I really wanted to do. But then I guess just that experience in Brazil was just so profound that I realised that I had no right to be an artist because I really had nothing to say. At 19, like, what the fuck do you know about the world? Nothing. And so going to ANU and doing politicals, like it was international relations, political science, I was like, it was an effort to try and understand, I think, and unpack what I just experienced in Sao Paulo and being like, well, how did it get to that? Like, because it's a fucking gnarly city. It was like, you know, the rivers smelt poisonous because they are, and the crime and you think we have a problem with like you think Melbourne has a traffic problem, like holy crap.
The favelas, is that what they're called there?
Yeah, you've got favela that's part of you have a very wealthy part of town, and then right next to it you have favela, and that services the wealthy. That's the economy. That's how it works. And where I was living in Alphaville was probably only, I don't know how many kilometres, maybe 20 or 30 kilometres from the city. But on any given day, there's just like this highway called the Rodovia Castelo Branco. It was like the famous, but like some days it would take 2 or 3 hours to get there. And there was so much congestion that some days if your license plate ended on an odd number, you could drive. If it ended on an even number, so they were tried to manage the transport that way, which had a hugely perverse effect in that people would just then buy 2 cars, one with an odd number plate, one with an even number plate. So it was just I'd never experienced, it was just so big. It was I still kind of hold that experience as kind of like a cautionary tale of what happens when we don't get it right. But then also at the same time, it's there's so much about Sao Paulo that doesn't work, and it's so the inequality is so extreme, but it's also the source of a lot of magic in that city, like the dancing and the art and the culture and capoeira. Yeah, I did that. That was I wish I had done jiu-jitsu now. I was like,
here you are, blue belt. That's huge.
Oh yeah, but like I'm like, oh God, if I had started jiu-jitsu at 18, that would have been Or maybe I wouldn't have had anything to do in my 40s. Might have taken up horse riding or some shit. I don't know.
Hey, there's still time. I see you doing all sorts of crazy cool stuff.
I think you need a different sport for like, I've already planned out, like I think I'm working back from like my 80s and 90s to go, okay, for that decade, what's the thing that I can learn? I'd be like, yeah, okay, so 80s and 90s swimming, going to finally learn how to swim properly. And then 70s, you go, okay, what would be a good? So I think you need a different thing to learn.
I might get another stripe on the white belt by 80.
I think you just don't, you just have to show up. You just have to show up. It's like if you can drag your ass to class, even when you really don't want to, like I'm like 3 times a week. It's just, I've got to make it happen 3 times a week. And that's the baseline.
No, you're right. Get back on the mats. That's what I've got to keep in mind. But, so you're in Canberra and then how did you get from Canberra to City of Sydney councillor?
I don't know. Like it's by not having any kind of plan. I mean, I think it's weird what you kind of like what you think you want is not what you get. I don't know. Because I thought that by doing international relations, so I love being in Brazil, and I thought that by doing international relations, that basically gave me a ticket to go and work and like be a diplomat or have a job that enabled me to travel. That was the thing. That was the criteria that I wanted, right? But then I, was in Canberra working a lot of hospitality and, was working at the uni. I met my now husband working in a restaurant, which was cute. He left he's a photographer, so he
brilliant
came to
photographer.
Sydney. He's so good.
He's so good.
So he's the one who moved to Sydney, and then maybe a year later I came, not really knowing what to do. Like I'd sort of finished most of my degree. I kind of found it interesting, but I don't know. It wasn't something that it was just uni. There were some things that I got into, but it probably I don't know. I think my first job in Sydney was working in book publishing. I lasted like 3 months. and I just basically bullshitted my way into a job at Oxfam, which I really liked. And that was kind of more of a media comms role. And I'd done a tiny bit of it. And, you know, like, I think you just, at the early stage of your career, you just assume that everybody knows everything. And the deeper you get in, the more you realize that no one knows shit. Everyone's making it up. Seriously. So I was at Oxfam for a little while, and then I think the real break was working with this amazing woman who I remain friends with to this day, called Blair Palisi, and she'd been a global head of comms at Greenpeace, and we were at a company called Climate Friendly doing voluntary carbon offsets, and it was working in the comms part of that. And at the time, politically, we thought that a voluntary carbon market was a thing that was going to work, and there was a lot of excitement and money in that. And she taught me just a lot about how to do good comms engagement PR around the same time or around that period. That company was actually acquired by Macquarie Bank. And so I found myself in an interesting position where I'd been on a pretty like entry salary. And then when Macquarie Bank came in, it kind of went up a lot, like it almost doubled. I was like, sweet. So I managed to kind of like save a fair bit of cash, which enabled me to put more time into activism. And it was sort of at that point that I had sort of become involved with the climate camps and climate action stuff, and it appealed to me because it wasn't the kind of airy-fairy stuff. It was like non-violent direct action. It was frontline, let's shut some shit down, shut down some coal
I remember
mines,
those days
all that
of yours.
sort of stuff.
It was like,
it was cool. It was such a at the time, you know, we were a bunch of pretty, you know, radical rat bags, and I remember having conversations with the team then about, like, why is this is so important, why is it so hard? And, you know, we do this thing called fantasy front page, and imagining like, you know, if you could get, as the comms people, like our job was to get the word out and the awareness out and the story out and all that sort of thing. And the fantasy front page is like, oh, imagine, you know, what if climate was on the front cover of Vogue? Like, what if it was so mainstream and we'd done such a great job that this was just normal? And that was like, yeah, my fantasy front page was Vogue. And also, you know, like sport, like having, you know, what if it was the head of the Melbourne Football Club, you know, advocating for climate? So that was, they were the kind of things that back in 2008, 2009, you couldn't imagine. Like, that was such a weird idea, only to kind of fast forward to now, and it is mainstream, and it's just sort of reminds you that, you know, in communities and societies, like what at one point seems like a radical idea has its time and moment, and then it gets absorbed in time into the mainstream, and that's how change has always happened. And whether it's, you know, gay rights or, you know, like Rosa Parks in America or the peace movement or whatever, there's always going to be these people at the time who seem like, you know, the village idiots, raising the alarm bell or doing the radical thing to kind of push everybody toward this direction that is needed. So, yeah, so I kind of cut my teeth in activism, ended up joining a sustainability comms agency called Republic of Everyone, where I was very happy for, I think I worked with those guys for almost 13 years.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Long time, yeah. And working on, I mean, it was a great place to work because you got to try a bit of everything, like a bit of creative, bit of strategy, bit of account management, which really appealed to me. So like getting to, you know, dabble, and had lots of great clients from the property sector, banking, insurance. But where I inevitably landed, which is kind of funny because I grew up on a herb farm, was like the client was horticulture. And so we designed a program called the 20-20-20 Vision, which was all about getting 20% more and better green space into urban areas. And it was a national program. It was all about trees and plants and research, and it was really fabulous. So
And you did so much with TEDx as well during this time. I love that. It's like a huge piece of Jess's CV is all the TEDx involvement.
I think I always managed to do 4 days. So there was always a day of the week where I got to do my like side projects, and so or things that I just thought were fun. And that would be like Grow It Local or TEDx, and then sometimes they'd all come together, or Garage Sale Trail. So it was all about, I think what you learn from doing the frontline activism is that it's really hard work and people burn out. Like it's financially ridiculous. Like no one pays you to be disruptive. Like it was all done on a voluntary capacity. It's emotionally difficult because you don't win. You have to be like you're always losing. People kind of hate you and like will hang shit on you, and it's kind of alienating, and it's hard work. Like it's really hard work. So I guess the lesson from that, just to also just give myself a break, is like, is there another way that you can kind of win people's hearts and minds using culture as a bit of a Trojan horse? And so Grow It Local and the Garage Sale Trail, and like we even did remember we did that massive veggie patch like at the front of Melbourne Town Hall.
Yes.
And that was cute, like programming, inviting people in to do the thing as opposed to talk about it is always, I think I've found that's probably a more compelling proposition. Like if you don't have to blow it up with an ideological like debate, if you can just get on with it, like it's and
it's so you, Jess, like you just go about life in such a lovely, friendly, calm way. It's very inspiring to someone like me who's got a fucking massive mouth, can fire it off, loves to have a fucking rage and a rander's motor mouth. And then I'm like, what would Jess do? And I just admire that so much. And also I wore a special outfit for you today, which is just hanging on, right? So I hope the camera doesn't get me film me getting up, because it might be a bit revealing. We're falling apart here. Something that I love so much about you is everything that you're doing with fashion sustainability, and it's on your Instagram. You're appearing in all these amazing outfits that have been thrifted or handed down, or pieces you've kept, and you continue to reuse them with pride. And I just love it. For the benefit of the audience, this little lace top op shop find, it was like $8. I mean, crazy. My G-Star leather dungarees I got from an outlet. They had a hole in them. I had it patched up, I don't know, over 10 years ago. They've made several appearances in my podcast. My heels, the most expensive pair of heels I ever bought in my 20s. I always wanted something luxury. They're Marni, my little Marni loafers, and I've had them for what I'm going to say, like, let's say 20 years, right? And I have had them resold. I look after them. My hat, look after it. My Autodromo watch, which I'll have, shout out to Bradley in New York City. I'm going to have this watch for life. I'm going to keep these things. Maybe not the dungarees, because I think the crotch has fallen out.
I reckon you've got more in them. I believe, Dom.
And we're going to get arrested accidentally.
Oh, it'd be worth it.
Your outfit today is just so hot. It's so Jess. She's got a colourful heels on, these hot wicked jeans, this punchy bright orange bomber, beautiful lace underneath, you're popping lipstick. You're not only an icon for all things sustainability, green, you're a lover of art, culture, nightlife. You're always in the corner punching for the cause to keep things alive and happening in the city of Sydney. That's why I think Sydney's thriving so much, because of all of your efforts as well. What can we expect to see from Jess's social media in the coming months leading up to Christmas? Is there some more initiatives that you're able to leak out? And can you just let me into your wardrobe for a little bit and tell me how you curate these outfits?
I just like roll with it. So clothes. I mean, I really like them. I like wearing them. It's better for everyone if that's the case. But yeah, I think it's there's not much I throw away, and like I get given a lot. But there's and then quality. So there's like, I mean, the social outfit is a beautiful. I like that. I like things that kind of are a triple point score. So the social outfit is just this beautiful little initiative because it takes a whole lot of like fabric from like Romance Was Born and Bianca Spender and Colours and Patty and that. So it's an end of run fabric. So it's a benefit to them because they can donate it. And then the kind of model behind this whole enterprise is that it gives new migrant and refugee women skills and autonomy and community. So they get a job. They can do it from home, so they can do sewing at home, they can learn retail, they can do X, Y, and Z. But in the process, they're making friends, they're becoming part of something. And the clothes are really great. So Amy Lowe, a friend of mine, has just become CEO there. So it's really lifting. Like it's like the quality of the clothing is outstanding. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to be. There's kind of, in a way, it's harder to be a bit more mindful about like what you wear and what you keep. But ultimately, it's that constraint that leads to more creativity. So I think it in a way, it's like if you're just buying more shit all the time and following trends, like you don't have to be very thoughtful about it. You just end up looking like everybody else. So the constraint of not throwing anything away and actually looking at it and going, all right, I've still got that. What do I put it with to make it look different is fun. I think it's a good creative challenge.
It's like a good jiu-jitsu roll.
Yeah. Yeah, what have I got? Oh, my God, I've got a lapel. What am I going to do? Tie it up. Yeah. Oh, my God, shout out to Wormguard. I fucking love that.
That is the best. Oh, my God, I forgot to give you my little gifts, but we've got 2 minutes left for someone who's into urban design, community, sustainability. I'm not quite sure this ticks all those boxes, but it is this cute little build your own friendship bracelet Lego, which we will have forever. So after this, when we have a little coffee, we can build our little friendship bracelet.
Oh, Dom, this is cute. Oh, my God. Crafternoon.
These are little stress-releasing fun toys that I love. Stringy fun, again, not sustainable. But, if you want to figure out a little jiu-jitsu move, you might be able to, like, figure out something through string. Don't know.
Okay, I can try.
And
so they're not hair ties.
Actually, she's already repurposed it. And because we're going to find ourselves in traffic again, I thought you might need a little stress noodle because you're in Melbourne. Pick a colour you love. Actually, take them all home because I want to give them to mimes as well. That's perfect.
A stress noodle. See, to me, this feels like more of a weapon already.
Honestly, there's so much to unpack with Jess Miller. I mean, maybe you can become a spy in your later years. Like there's a TV show there, the Adventures of Jess.
Because everyone's it's like the cat's out of the bag.
No, but when I think about Jess, I just think she is such a formidable package. Oh. You're a ray of sunshine. You're just one of my best friends. I'm blessed to have you in my life and your family as part of, and watching your beautiful daughter grow up, just to be a part of that journey. Someone that doesn't have children, but to watch with love and admiration for your daughter and how you're raising her to be such a beautiful young woman, and Nick as well. Jess Miller, there's so much here for our audience to dive deeper and to learn more about you and all your incredible accomplishments. We've only just brushed the top of the iceberg with who you are as a person, how you contribute to not only City of Sydney, but to the martial arts space, to your community of all your followers. You're there for everyone. You're there for me. We love you so much, Jess, and thank you for joining me on Dom Pod. You brought the bright sunshine. You lifted the energy. Melbourne, we're going to figure out a way to steal her down here and fix some of these problems and get this place moving. Thank you so much, Jess Miller, for being my special guest.
Thank
It was an
you.
honour.
Oh, thank you.
And there it is. Dumb Pod wrapped up. Talk to you soon. Bye.